Okay, so tonight what I'm doing is, this is kind of impromptu. I have done some upgrades on a couple of things. I have upgraded my graphics card, which was not in the books, was not planned, but I have been trying to get my system to work a little bit better for when I stream. When I do stuff just here, if I'm not streaming, my previous graphics card, which was an EVGA 3080 Ti, it did fine. It really did fine. I could get good settings out of it and it looked great. But when I stream, I had some problems. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to bring the music down just a little bit. I am going to just fly around New York. It's a area that seems to really tax my system. Nighttime seems to make it even a little bit harder. And I've got a couple things going. So right now I've got my FPS window up, and you can see it's already red, limited by main thread. So I have a CPU bottleneck, and I'm running an i7 12700K. So it's 12th generation and an i7. The difference between the i7 and the i9 for that 12th generation was minimal, and it certainly wasn't worth double the price at the time. So I am thinking about maybe upgrading my CPU. My board will, the 13th gen will fit my board, but anyway, I'm just gonna do some flying around, bring some tunes up, and just kind of mess with some settings. Just see how this goes. All right. Oh, okay. Let's get settled down here. All right. Where are we going to? Let's go this way. So looking at my counter, 27, 28. I did a test before I changed my card out, and it wasn't so much that the frame rate was a whole lot better, but I was getting a lot of stuttering. I don't seem to be getting quite nearly as much as I was before. The other thing is, I'm completely on ultra. Nothing is turned down. I've got DLSS 3 going on in the auto mode, where I guess it kind of picks the best version of that. And let's see, let's go over here where the lights are. I'm also running OBS at 15,000 for my upload, and so that is a test, and I'm running at 60 frames. So let's see how it does. And I can say right off the bat, I feel like it is much, much smoother than it was before. I can't get good pedal comfort right now. Now, I don't know if I didn't do any kind of before and after with DLSS 2, but I kind of feel like this is better. I kind of feel like it looks better. Watch it. Look as it dips into 26, 27. That is low. And I don't normally run with the FPS counter on, so I really don't know what my streams have been getting in terms of, you know, FPS. I hardly ever monitor it. I've always just been, does it stutter? And I have had some problems with stuttering. I will say this, I use OBS, and as so many people do, But I also have vMix, which is what I use when I do interviews. Which, speaking of interviews, I just did an interview with one of the developers at Simstrumentation. Please check it out. I'll put the card thing up there. And I've got some more interviews planned. I've got a couple more people lined up. I don't want to announce till I've got some times, but my goal is to interview some of the people out there and just kind of, you know, who have been doing this and get their story and that kind of thing. Also thinking about doing a segment where I have people send in videos of their flight sim setup, kind of take a look at it and see and talk about it and that kind of thing. We'll see how that goes. So I am so far, even though I'm not happy to know that my frame rate is 25, I feel like it is fairly smooth. I don't know what you guys are seeing because I never know until I look at the video after it's fully on YouTube. But from my standpoint, I am getting the very odd micro stutter, but it is not a lot and it is not nearly as noticeable as it was. I'm also not getting the weird DLSS fuzziness that I had on my 3080. This seems a little sharper. Let's see here. I'm gonna change the weather here. Some stuttering then, but that I think is because I was changing the weather. Put that over there. It's a little more balanced test, I feel like. Up a little speed here. That's when things start to stutter. That was a pretty decent stutter there. I mean, there's a lot of rendering that's having to go on here. Oh, there it is. That seems to be quite a bit. You can make it in New York. You can make it anywhere. Yeah, I'm still calling this an improvement because, again, I'm fully on ultra settings. I don't have anything dialed back, and it's smoother than it was before. This is definitely a better card. Although now I'm definitely thinking I need to start saving up for new CPU. I can maybe look for some deals. When I load vMix instead of OBS, you can't do this at all. It totally, like, I'd be even less frames than I am now. I do love this helicopter. So streaming at a much higher bit rate from 9,000 to 15,000, from 30 frames to 60 frames, all settings on ultra. Even though I'm in the low 20s and I've got some stutters, this is still better than what I was getting before. One thing about being in developer mode, it's really hard. I don't think you can crash. I don't think it'll crash hard enough to make it like have to reset or restart. Not that I'm trying to crash. Boy, some of these areas in New York look kind of beat. Favorite turn. Everybody's asleep, hating on the helicopters flying above their house. Wish you could land on these roofs, but you can't. You gotta admit, this nighttime lighting that Microsoft does is just awesome. I will be honest, I would have thought I would have had more frames than this, but again, it's not the frames, it's the stutters. Turning to the left in this thing is awesome because you just basically left pedal, pull back on the collective, and a little bit of right on the throttle, on the cyclic, and then just slowly bring it back and you can get a cool turn out of it. Turning to the right is harder. It's not as cool. So my initial impression of this card is good. So who is this card for? Who is it not for? I would say it is most definitely for anyone that's got a 2000 series card. I think you're going to be happy with this card. Now I got the Asus Strix. I don't know that it's going to be a whole lot better than, say, the Zotac. Is that the brand? Which they had a version that was pretty cheap. These cards are out there. They're not hard to find. And so in that sense, I would say not a bad card if you're coming from a 2000 series card. What about if you're coming from a 3000 series card? Well, I think that's going to be a different story, and here's why. Normally, I'd be like, yeah, it's probably not a bad deal. It's a little more expensive than the previous generation. Go ahead and upgrade if you want to. But that's not necessarily true. If you bought a 3000 series card during the pandemic, there is a good chance that you paid too much for it. Between scalpers and just inflated prices and people selling over MSRP, you may have paid more than your card was really, worth in terms of depreciation. So now the the Bitcoin thing is kind of done, or at least it's to the point where the miners are not sucking up all the cards. And so when you get a card now, it's probably MSRP, maybe even a little bit cheaper, except for the 4090s. I hear those are still going for pretty high. And so again, if you're coming from a 1000, 2000 series card, I think this is a good card. I don't know that the one that I got was necessarily the best version of that card, considering that you can do about probably 200 to 300 cheaper, at least 200 cheaper. I can't remember if that Zotac was $699. I know there was some $800 cards, $850 cards, depending on the different models. I went with this one because it's got some RGB bling, and it's kind of what I like. But I don't know about, is the card any better than any other version? This is an overclock edition, but I think they all say that now, so I don't even know what that means anymore. But this card is doing better than my 3080 Ti. And it was cheaper than my 3080 Ti was. And so I would say this is a good card. Now, if you got scalped for a 3000 series card, I would say, unless you've got a very compelling reason, I would say hold on to that card for a while and you just see what happens. These 4070s, my understanding is they're not really selling, so maybe the price will come down. You may catch one on sale. And for that matter, you know, it seems like before you turn around and maybe the 5000 series cards will be out. Who knows? But this card is, I'm glad I bought it. Of course, now I got a 3080 Ti for sale, and they're not going for that much. That's another option. If you're coming from a 1000, 2000 series card, there's some 3000 series cards. You can get a 3080 Ti for $500 to $600. But then you run into the trap of, well, for $100 more, you're into a 4070 Ti, which I'm saying, at least with DLSS turned on, is a better card. That may not be the case with DLSS turned off and not using DX. I use DX12 beta for Microsoft, and I haven't paid that much attention to graphics and X-Plane. I have never had any problems with X-Plane builds in terms of, like, I can run almost full, everything set to max, and it's never had a problem. So there's some stuttering right there. You get close to these buildings and you make these kind of quick turns. See that? It definitely wants to stutter a little bit. But given that what I'm streaming at, 60 frames, it's, again, I'm happy with this. I'm gonna make it daylight here. Hold on just a second. Let's see if I can. Look at that. Oh, that's a lot of stuttering. I just can't see paying $2,000 for a 4090 right now. I just can't do it. Now again, I just can't tell if this is my imagination. I feel like when I was using DLSS 2 on the 3080, that it wasn't this sharp. Now there's some other settings that DLSS 3 brings along, and latency settings and all that. I don't know what this. I've just got this card today. It's only been installed for a little while. But this looks way sharper. Way sharper than it did on the 3080 in terms of DLSS. In fact, I hardly ever used DLSS on the 3080 because I thought it looked weird. This does not seem to have that. This is actually pretty good looking. And I'm going to try something here, see if it makes any difference at all. I'm going to bring this down to about 150 and bring this down to 150. Let's see what happens. If it doesn't make any difference, I'll put it back. If it's making a difference, I can't tell it. Well, you know what? I'm going to take that back. It's making a... I can't tell if it's just settling in after changing the settings. No, that's definitely not as good. All right, let me try some things in. All right, let me try. So that was pretty much all on Ultra. So let's go and make some changes here. Let's bring this down to here, bring this down to here, click, click. Yeah, if I could only do the turns to the right like that, that would be cool. Make another change. Let's see if this makes a difference. So now doing that bumped up my frames, but let's see if I want to get back close to the ground and see if that got fuzzy. Yeah, I think that made a difference in terms of the clarity. That does not look quite as clear as it did when I had it set to auto for one of the DLSS parameters. It's hard to tell though. Sometimes is it your imagination? Is this what you're actually seeing? I do see an increase in FPS. Alright, let's go back. And this is the one, so here's some new settings that DLSS 3 brought. I believe this NVIDIA Reflex is new for 4000, or it goes with the 4000 cards, and of course the 3, and that generates some of this stuff. So I am going to put that back to auto. Yeah, so that makes a difference. It's almost like it's less focused. Ooh, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? It's kind of thin, it's kind of tight, but I'm doing it. Nah, that was a good one. I mean, this really works your card. This is really doing a lot of number crunching right here. All the shadows, all the water stuff, all the buildings, all the roads, all the cars, this close to the ground. And it's definitely working this card. Although now I'm in the 30s, so that's not bad. get this helicopter going. It's really fun to fly. And if I haven't said it before, in your flying helicopters, you've got to get some kind of collective. You can do it with things that's not an actual collective, but it makes a difference. It's so much more fun. Oh, that was a big stutter. That was a big one. I have no idea where I am. Other than in New York. And maybe I'm not in New York. I wish you could fly through that thing, but you cannot. You will crash. sure what's going on with that in the water. Nice flying cars, that's a thing. Yeah, if this is a card you're thinking about getting, or if you're thinking about upgrading from a 3000, I would say unless you have a compelling reason, you don't need to do it. But if you're coming from a 1000 or 2000 card, I think you're gonna like it. Right now I'm throwing a lot at this card and it is giving me some stuttering, but it's doing way better than my 3080 Ti did, so. And I'm streaming with higher stream rates. Let's see if I can do this. Is this an actual through? Or am I gonna instantly explode? Let's see. Like I said, you can't crash when you're on developer mode. That would have been a crash for sure. secret of this is you got to keep your eyes way far ahead. It's too tight. That's kind of hard. I'm not sure how that would have happened in real life, but let's... Well, I think I'm going to call that a night. I'm not sure what the heck that was. Anyway, just trying to get some time in with this new card. I feel like it was a worthwhile upgrade. It certainly was more of an incremental upgrade than, say, a drastic upgrade. But in any case, I put together some more thoughts about this and get some more stuff out about this. Meanwhile, you guys have